fantastic uppercut there from Rafferty, who settled right down to business.
Well, he's sharp at the jab there, Hill. It comes up, but look when it comes back to the chest. And if Rafferty just slides that left foot forward and then dips the head to the left and throws that right hand over the top, might get Hill in a little bit of trouble.
And Rafferty's part of Steve Mellett's finest gym. And that, of course, producing world champion Terry Flanagan. We saw Liam Taylor getting himself closer to a British title fight in that fantastic bout here in this very ring with Darren Tetley, what a month or so ago. Also from that gym, is that success breeds success, doesn't it, Barry? Whether it's gyms or cities, there's no doubt about that. There's something in it.
Of course it does, it really does.
I think they've been trying to get Rafferty to box a bit more recently. He looked a bit of a tank early on in his career, with 7 stoppages in the 12 so far. There's certainly a degree of control behind the power punching that we've seen in this first round.
Listen to me, don't hold. Not on the back of the head, okay. A couple times you hit on the back of the head then. Okay.
That's a pretty stern warning from Mark Lyston. I think he left in no doubt there, Rafferty. Looked like some of he's kind of clubbing him on the side of the head to me, but you can understand that the referee making his point inside the final minute.
He's getting a little bit lower here, Rafferty. He's having success. That's a lovely left uppercut there from Rafferty. If he gets a bit lower there, he can really explode off that front foot there with the jab, and start it all up there and be a real solid, heavy shot just to push Hill back.
Yeah, he's really sharp with his punches. Hill trying to work behind the jab again. Good response from him.
Nice fast hands he has, Hill, as well. Just make sure he needs to move the feet after he finishes the combinations. That's when Rafferty will be looking to fire back. Be careful standing up tall there, Rafferty, after he throws the shots.
Yeah, a couple of little reminders for him. It's been a good round for him, and he's been really sharp and solid when he lets his punches go. Just a couple of reminders to him that it's not one-way traffic, but good opening round as we'd hoped and expected. And a glimpse into both corners. First 10 seconds or so it was Hill behind the jab, and then some power punches from Rafferty.
Yeah, well, Hill let his hands go quite nice when nice fast combinations he throws. But then the sheer weight of the shots you see there here from Rafferty, punches right through the target, constantly hitting the head back there of Hill when he does land, and that was for me what gave him the edge in that first round.
10 seconds, corners. Seconds out. Round 2.
Into round 2 then, scheduled for 8, this one, sort of in between welterweight and super welter. Rafferty will be focusing on 147 pounds when the opportunities and indeed the occasions demand it, and it is a division that, as we've just seen, I mentioned Lewis Crocker coming through, Belfast man. You've just seen Paddy Donovan as well, 147 pounds. I mentioned Liam Taylor, who's a stablemate of Jack Rafferty as well. He's got his eyes set on Chris Jenkins.
Good shot there from Rafferty. Again, that's Hill just bringing that jab back to the chest. And well timed there by Rafferty, good right hand. Just brought that right foot forward there, Hill, when he threw that right hand. That squared him up and put him a little bit off balance.
Let him go, you hold him.
A shot from Hill.
Right hand again from Rafferty. Yeah,
puts his combinations together well. Pretty solid looking punches too.
I just needed the right hand. It was a good idea there from Hill. Just needed the right hand over the top to compete. Doing a lovely combination. That's good work from him there. Look, fast hands and moving off to the left.
Yeah, there's little bursts of retaliation from Hill.
Nice uppercut there from Rafferty. Lovely shot. It's the quality in the work, and that's the difference. You would feel more weight in the shots of Rafferty. Hill maybe the busier of the two.
And the body attack from Rafferty's been a constant through the first couple of rounds.
Oh, it's good from lovely from Hill there. Just block and counter, and again there with a lovely uppercut. Yeah, the first left hook was a lovely shot, just blocked and countered there as Rafferty was coming forward.
And again, good response from Hill. Yeah, good retaliation, wasn't it? Courageous response from Hill after what would have been a largely another good round for Rafferty.
Again, it's well timed there from Rafferty, but just Hill just brings that jab back a little bit slow and then a little bit low, and that's where Rafferty just tips that shoulder there, throws that lovely right hand over the top.
I suppose Rafferty just got to be careful he's not too predictable.
See it there,
maybe.
See it there, he just caught the left hook with the elbow there, Hill, and then come back with his own left hook, just catching Rafferty again, bringing that right foot forward, a little bit squared up.
Yeah.
Still 2 points though. Still 2 rounds though. Got fucking 6 to get it back.
Yeah.
Come on.
10 seconds, corners.
Come on. On that one.
Seconds out. Round 3.
Into round 3, Dave Binns in the corner of Tom Hill. I think leaving him in absolutely no doubt about how this one has unfolded on the card so far, and I think that's probably fair enough. Opening 2 rounds for Jack Rafferty in the red trunks.
He does a little bit, he does pockets of good work. Oh, it's good though. Good work there from Rafferty. That's but just not enough. Better quality work come from Rafferty, and oh, it's a lovely uppercut there. They're talking about quality.
Yeah, the other punches landed on the gloves, but then he finally got that one through and right through.
His head. And go. Come on, boys, break it up.
And a little body shot, left hand there from Hill too.
That was nice on Rafferty, but he needs more of it, doesn't he? Being outworked. You know, more purchase in his shots.
Keep them up, Jack. Keep them up.
Oh, lovely. Lovely, but he should have rolled and come back with a left hook. He stood up and threw the left hook and got caught there, Rafferty.
No doubt that the kind of heavier punches in any of these passages and exchanges do seem to come from Rafferty. Little flurries from Hill, and acts of defiance all the way throughout.
Good jab there from Hill. And then doesn't move his feet after. You've got to get the angle out, and he didn't, and then had to take shots back there from Rafferty. It's very important what you do after you throw a punch, especially when you're not a puncher, not a big puncher, and I know that better than most. So what you do after throwing a punch is vitally important. You have to put yourself in a safe place.
Pretty much head to head here.
Oh, good shot.
Oh, both landed, but a couple of heavy shots and a follow-up combination from Rafferty.
Come on, boys, break it out. Come on.
there from Hill again.
Oh, 3 or 4 unanswered punches. He tried to meet fire with fire in this round, hasn't he, Hill? It's been a really good effort from him. I don't think it's enough on the cards, but it's been a really good effort from him.
There's a great response with the uppercut and the hook after he got caught with a long right hand there from Hill. Really good response. And that's what you want to see from a young fighter, isn't it?
Yeah, good round. Well, there was lots to pick out from that round, and I think most of the heavy shots coming from Rafferty, but loads of effort and punches landed from Hill too.
It is, but because the better quality, the better weight in the shots are coming from Rafferty, that's where most of the replays and the highlights are going to be shown. But he's shown here the tenacity there of Hill, and he really came up with intent to be busier in this round, and I think he did that and had a fair bit of success.
Win this fight. What we've got to do? Get these shots off early. You're beating him to shots. Yeah. You're better than him. You're fucking standing like a punch bag.
10 seconds, corners.
Punch on me, let's do it. Show me the boxes here.
Seconds out. Round 4.
Well, that effort is always likely in the corners to be a little fruity foreign language from time to time. Hopefully nobody too offended by any of that in this fight game, and it is back to fighting into the 4th round.
Shot there from Rafferty. If anything, a little bit with the fingers, but it was a weighty left hook. And for all that we're saying, the more weight in the shots of Rafferty, nothing's troubled Hill yet.
Pull his head, don't pull his head down, Jack.
Or seem to.
Yeah. Well, the fact that he's looking to fire back every time punches are thrown at him means that he's relatively comfortable as you can be in the pressure.
Oh, he's outworked Rafferty through the first minute of that. Conversation with his corner in between rounds was that he had to come out and win this one for sure to give himself a chance, and he's doing that so far.
Let him go, don't hold him.
Oh, that's a good left hand. Got through one of those top of the head punches that can sometimes just equalize the equilibrium. I think he took that well enough, Hill, actually, to be fair to him.
Relaxing concentration there from Hill. Had to take a little right hand. Left hand, I should say. See, he works there, and I talked about what he do after the shot, and that's the perfect example. He's under a bit of pressure, but comes back with some good work of his own, Hill, but then stays there. Doesn't pivot off, doesn't pull the elbow of Rafferty to spin him and turn him and get his back off the ropes. Just stays looking to fight his way out of trouble. That's not always going to work against a guy who's heavier-handed than yourself.
He fought nicely off the ropes with a couple of uppercuts there, Hill. I think this has been his best round so far.
That's a good shot.
Stop boxing! Time! Stay there. Someone get in.
Look, there's a
Doctor, just have a look.
cut, interesting. Is it on
Stay
the
there,
ear? On the...
Yeah, I wasn't sure, but from inside. It's not from inside, is it?
They had a look at them.
No, it's not really. Only for your safety.
I think you might have heard there, Mark Lyson, just for as a precaution more than anything else, he was having that check.
Well, they're still going. I think they're looking like a little swab or something to have a look.
Okay, thank you.
Well, just double checking.
Okay, coach.
Favour that, didn't it? Come on, really sharp.
Yeah, rejuvenated.
Oh, lovely work.
Nice little flurry that from Hill. Nice left hand at the end of the round landed from Rafferty, but that was certainly the best that Tom Hill's put forward so far.
Yep, this has been I'm really enjoying this fight. I mean, fair play to Hill because he was letting it slip from him. Rafferty was the one that was landing the harder shots. But Hill now, to his credit, he's putting in those combinations, those eye-catching shots, and he's moving off. You know what? This is only going to warm up. Seriously, I am so excited for what we're seeing right now. This is a great fight.
And interestingly poised on Spencer's card. He had the first one even, and Hill with the last. Certainly, I think that last round was Hill's best. And maybe just gives him a platform to build into this fight in the second half. I wonder what it's going to boil down to. Toughness, fitness, resistance, ability to take a shot more is maybe, as the fight goes on, the weight of power in Rafferty's shot's going to be less of a problem for Hill. We shall see.
Sometimes just the guy with the heavier punch who's not maybe knocking you all over the place, can those punches have an effect on you and drain the energy and you get your just rewards, or do you mentally get panicked because you're not having the success, the punch is not having an effect? I still think Rafferty needs to get a little bit lower, a little bit widen his legs, just ever so slightly, just to get a little bit lower and roll underneath the shots. Right hook to the body there from Rafferty, but he'll put himself in harm's way there just by putting that right foot forward after he threw that right hand, not turning up on the waist, not keeping it nice and long.
He's throwing plenty here, Rafferty, at the start of this fifth. I'm not worried too much about the tank. Oh, another straight right from Rafferty getting through. Yeah, he almost swung that from out of range, didn't he, as he closed the gap. Rafferty landed with the left and then the right. Couple of big shots getting through, and as you're tiring, second half of the fight, these are the ones that can really start to weigh heavily.
It was a well-delivered shot, but Hill shouldn't be walking away with his hands down that close to the target, and he'll know that. Takes a good shot line, doesn't he, this Hill?
Because Rafferty commits to every punch.
Good there from Hill as well there again. This is where he needs to turn. He needs to pivot on that front foot, get himself off the rope.
I tell you what, it's a really hard fight, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put in plenty to pay it off him. And again, while he was backing off, Hill caught slightly unawares, and some heavy shots landed by Rafferty once again. And it looks like Rafferty bites back.
Punches right through the target there, doesn't he, Hill? Even if the gloves are there to sort of protect, he can sort of punch through the guard sometimes. He turns from the core when he lets his hands go, but there's that right hand there where Hill moving away too close to the target with his hands too low, and paid the price for it. And then fired back then, didn't he? Been, again, trying to be the busier of the two, letting his hands go and really competitive.
No, his attitude's great, Hill, no doubt about it. He was having got himself nearly back into the fight in the previous round. That was a big effort to wrest control back from Rafferty.
Round 6.
Here we go then, down the stretch into round 6. They've put a lot of work in, haven't they? The paid off them so far. And fought it up the pace. The punch outfit has been terrific, particularly from Rafferty, but from both men combined.
You see more of that double jab that he just threw there, Hill. Nice and sharp that was. A little bit of momentum in the second one there because the first one was fast.
You mentioned loads of prospects coming through and loads of good fights potentially could be made in the future at 147 pounds. Floyd Mark, who was in action last night, saying he's available, he'd be happy to fight plenty of people. I believe he was offered the fight against Jack Rafferty previously. Maybe that's one they can reconvene down the line. Maybe the invitation will be extended again, we'll see. You never know what goes on behind the scenes, do you, Barry?
Good body work there from Rafferty.
Oh, nice uppercut. They're almost on each other's shoulders. And here,
good response as well from Hill. He didn't have the same snap in the shots as Rafferty, but he's fighting back every time. Rafferty has a bit of success. He's coming back with more, a little bit low there with that right hook there from Rafferty.
yeah, the will and the desires there from Hill, no doubt about it. As Barry said, despite the body shots, the weight of punch from Rafferty, Hill hasn't looked like he's going to wilt anytime soon. And there's a cracking combination from Rafferty again, right on the money.
People were worried it was going to be like a sparring session. This is like one of those fantastic sparring sessions you would see.
Yeah, they've really put a lot into this. You won't be surprised if they're starting to tar and maybe ache a little. And here we see some of the shots being unloaded. Some wicked body punching there from Rafferty, and Hill kept firing back as he's done all night.
That's why I said it was like a real competitive sparring session with two people who don't like each other, because it's like your go, then my go, then that's what it was like for that last minute of the round. It's like, I'll throw three, you throw three, I'll throw three, you throw three, and they were back and forth, weren't they, for the last sort of quarter of that round. It's good stuff, and then they're putting it all out there, to be fair. It's been high energy from the first round, and they both fill the tank up tonight.
10 seconds, corners.
Round 7, this I believe.
Seconds out. Round 7.
And they've not had to go looking for each other at all. Hill's pretty much been in front of Rafferty all night, trying to fire back whenever he can. There's one about the first times he's kind of spun himself out of danger.
That's lovely there from Hill. There, little pop right hand, change direction.
What's this? Nice little bit of footwork and movement from Hill after he got his shots off. hear how much they're putting into every single shot and every moment, the pair of them. Double right hand there, one after the other from Rafferty. And a great response once again from Tom Hill, as you'll have come to expect tonight. Tell you what it does show, it shows you how well Jack Martin did earlier on as well. When you're comparing styles with Jack Rafferty, think of the upper body movement that Martin produced to get himself into range. Rafferty's coming pretty much straight forward in what you describe as lines tonight. He's not having to show too much more so far, but maybe will have to do further down the line.
Yeah, no, Rafferty can get a little bit lower, I think, and he could roll underneath the shots, and that would make him out of target the hit, and he could explode off the legs. That's a good right hand there from Rafferty. He can come up with the hooks then and the uppercuts from a lower, stronger stance.
Go.
Oh, a couple of wicked body shots. He landed with every single punch of that combination, Rafferty, and he wasn't trying to tickle Hill either. Well, there's no thrills and spills or knockdowns or obvious drama, but this really is compelling. This is a hard fight.
There's a lovely left hook off the ropes there from Hill. Beautiful, might be the best shot he's thrown. And again there, nice left hook.
Well, you don't need knockdowns and spectacular contests to be reminded of how hard this sport is and how tough these guys are. Spencer, I tell you what, watching this, all I can think of is I want to lie in a bath for an hour afterwards.
Listen, it's a really hard fight for both guys, but the thing about it is this, is like, one guy is fighting a way that is suited for him in Rafferty, and Hill has been drawn into fighting Rafferty's fight. Hill has got beautiful skills. He rolls on the inside, throws left hook, throws right hands, and he should be sticking to that. He should be sticking to his boxing, but he's been drawn in, and now he's fighting out of like to show pride, like, I'm not taking this from you, and he should go back to his boxing. Rafferty's doing great stuff, because Rafferty's trying, he's drawn him in, he's trying big, hard, hurtful shots, which take the toll.
And leading into the final round on Spencer's scorecard as well. Thanks, Spence. I suppose the sort of question is, as they embrace and they'll go at it for another hard 3 minutes, is to what extent is Rafferty just forcing Hill to fight his fight? Or how much is it choice of Hill that he's just not quite been able to find the right moves at the right time? Because it's been relentless from Rafferty.
To be honest, but I think what Spencer was saying is right. Hill can box well, but I don't think he ever wants to, and I think he likes to stand in front of you. He likes to throw shots. He's not really a mover. And I think it's his feet. If Hill comes off second best, which we think he's going to, unless he does something tremendous now in this round, his footwork's probably let him down. He doesn't. After he throws the shots, he doesn't move off. He changed direction now and again and whipped that right hand up, and so he showed that he can do it, but maybe he doesn't do it enough. And then maybe it is that macho pride. He does take a good shot. He hasn't looked worried or in trouble once so far. Good right hand there from Hill.
Just about the first moment he backed off there to kind of reassess the situation, Rafferty, but they've been right in each other's faces all night.
Nice there from Rafferty. Just a little push with the shoulder, just to create the space so we can get our left hook off. There you go. There you go. He did it. See that little dip? Get low, engage his legs, got low, get that shoulder over.
That would be my only criticism. It's been compelling. They put in so much for us tonight to watch. What I would like just to see from Rafferty is just a little bit more guile and thought when he's coming forward. Because you can see he's got the repertoire, and he's certainly got the solid punch power.
But what he does have is a good engine, because he's had to go, not quite foot to the floor with the pedal, but he's had to work at a high rate, and he's put everything into these shots, and he's up against someone like Hill who takes a good hot shot and fires back, as we're seeing here, every time.
And to be fair, I wondered if the intensity and the pace and the punch output would dip down the stretch, because they've thrown a lot, particularly Rafferty. Rafferty's pretty much been that same relentless onslaught all the way since the first bell. They are renowned in that finest, Jim, for generally being whipped into shape. Flanagan wasn't called Turbo Terry for no good reason, and that kind of stuff rubs off, no doubt about it.
But some of the responses from Hill, great from Rafferty. Some of the responses from Hill have been fantastic. Look at this again.
Loads of people have paid to watch these guys again, that's for sure. And Rafferty's got the kind of style that I think fans will warm to. Didn't take a backward step hardly, bar a brief moment in that final round. What a pace, what an output, and great effort from both men. Hard sport, tough night's work, but Rafferty, I think, has done more than enough throughout that.
Yeah, you would think so. You really would. But it was an honest effort from both. I think Hill, comes away with plenty of credit if he doesn't get the result, which I don't think he will, and learns lots from it as well. They both showed real good qualities, and they both also showed some inexperience and mistakes they make, which is fine at this level. That's so you should. But either way, whoever wins, it's their best win by far. It really is. They both up against two kids here with plenty of gas in the tank, good engines on both, and we're hard to break down. I think a lesser man with the tenacity of Rafferty, a lesser man than Hill would have wilted. But every time Rafferty was having success, he was looking to hold up, tuck in, and fire back, and made it a really entertaining show for us.
Yeah, it was great to watch. Great to watch. Let's get confirmation of how it was scored.
Even with no crowd in the arena after such a contest, we put our hands together for both boxers. After 8 rounds of action, we go to referee Mark Lyson's scorecard. He scores the contest 78 points to 75 points in favour of your winner. From Shaw, Greater Manchester, Jack, the Demolition Man, Rafferty!
Yes, Rafferty it is, who gets it by a fairly wide decision, much deserved, and great credit and praise to Tom Hill in defeat as well, because he put forth tonight for ours and your entertainment, and he gave it a real good effort. But it was just the pressure, the intensity, and perhaps the weight of punch, the power that told in the end from Rafferty. Barry?
Well, yeah, you didn't think so. And from the offset, it looked like that. It looked like the weight and the weight of the shot from Rafferty was going to be tell on Hill, and maybe he looked like he might wilt at some point. But every time you thought he might be under a bit of pressure, he'd fire back. He showed how tough and tenacious he could be himself, and fire back with some good quality work, and kept Rafferty honest, and then started to pick up a few rounds for himself there, Hill, and it made an interesting contest. But then I just think again, the work rate, the fitness there to Rafferty saw him through to the end. Hill made him work hard for it, but also showed that, for Rafferty, that he's not going to knock everyone over, not going to bowl everyone over easy, but also showed some good qualities that when he's up against a stubborn resistance and a guy who can fire back, he can dig in deep and find that bit of quality to get him over the line.
Well done, Jack. Great fight to watch.
Yeah.
Tough way to earn a living, this, isn't it? Did you enjoy that tonight?
Yeah. The first 8-rounder, first proper test, and yeah, I loved it. It's all right getting these lads out early doors, and you need tests like that, as you step into the ranks.
And to be fair, what was impressive for us watching is actually the pace and the intensity that you brought in the first round. It did look like that was still holding up in round 8.
Yeah. I knew I had to work hard because I knew, you know, we'll have a good 4 rounds and I needed to carry on to win that fight.
It's a gym we know plenty about with Steve, of course, and Teddy Flanagan down the years. We saw Liam Taylor in this very ring in a cracking fight with Darren Tetley a month or so ago. How much of a buzz is that? How much of a motivation and inspiration for you?
I mean, you know, training alongside world champions and like Liam going into mint fights like that, and you know, Liam same weight as me and seeing the route he's going, that's where I want to be. So training next to that, you know, it brings me on 10 times.
I see Florian Marco was fighting last night. I do believe he was saying he was willing to face anyone. Is that's the sort of name, sort of fight you'd be interested in?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I think MTK tried getting that fight a couple of months ago. You know, I'm ready for step-ups like that. I want to challenge myself even more. Be better lads like that. You know, obviously he's got a good name, and I want a better name, and I want to be fighting people like that.
Look forward to it. What have you been told about the next sort of 6-8 months? It's difficult, of course, in these times.
Yeah, it's tricky. You know, I'm staying fit. You know, this is my job. I'll be staying in the gym, waiting for that phone call. I'll be taking any opportunity what's coming.
Good stuff. I think you'll enjoy the replay when you get to see it. Well done.
Brilliant. Thank you very much.
Terrific stuff. Great fight to watch that. Really enjoyed seeing Jack. Well done to Steve and the team. And here's what we've got coming up next. Tursynbay Kulakhmet in action against Macaulay McGowan. Both unbeaten. McGowan seems to have been around for years. Of course, lack of opportunity meant he was actually out of the ring for nearly 2 years until he came back last year. He is in, I think, deep, it's fair to say, despite the fact that Kulakhmet has only had the one fight, Barry, but you and I commentated on that contest back in August, and I think you were really, really impressed with what you saw making the transition from really good amateur to young prospect.
It was seamless. It really was. You just thought, this kid's been pro for years. He just looked so composed, and the pressure against a guy with loads of experience who boxed at a high level, and it looked easy for him, too easy. Made you miss quite comfortable. Every time he threw a shot, there was spite in it. It was well placed. There was thought behind it. It's frightening, really, for the guy with no professional experience to look so comfortable. Yeah. So McGowan's got it all to do, and he goes in the underdog. But we know him, and he's tough, and he will fire. And if he gets hit, he'll fire back. And he throws straight long punches, and that might work for him tonight, possibly. Because with Kulakhmet, he likes to lean back and throw that long hook and spin off it. But sometimes, if someone fires you with real long straight punches, that can sometimes get you off balance and get you on your back foot and put you under pressure. And I think McGowan might try and do that. I think that's his only way. He can't outbox someone like Kulakhmet because he just can't do it. So he's got to try and be aggressive without walking onto shots.
Interesting. Plenty of people thought that Kulakhmet looked a little tight at the weigh-in yesterday. Whether he's going to be much bigger and stronger now tonight, he's been able to rehydrate. Whether that plays any part in it further down the line, who knows? We know he's got bags of talent. What we also know with McGowan is that there's real incentive now. You know, he's come through some issues over the year. He's had family stuff as well that he's had to overcome too. So he is motivated. There's no doubt about that.
Of course he is. And even before all the things that have happened to him and the hiatus he had in his career, we knew what he was. It's what he said on the tin. He'll come to fight. He'll give it his all. We were lucky enough. We were there, that fantastic draw he had with Jed Smith back in 2014, maybe it was. Seems like a lifetime away. But what was that? Well, I thought he just did enough to win it, to be fair, to his credit. But every time he looked under a bit of pressure, he just bit on a gum shield and fired back. So he'll keep fighting as long as there's breath in him. That's what we know. So we know he'll give 110%, whatever happens. And when you do that, it doesn't matter. But he's coming to win. It's a big experience. We're not about like he's the guy. He's the guy with all the experience in the pro game. We should be saying this about the other kid. This is a big step up for him.
But that's a measure of how highly Kulakhmet is regarded and how impressed Barry was when we commentated on his debut a few months ago. McGowan's buoyed by messages in the build-up from Tyson Fury. He's known since he was a kid as well. Used to bunk off school to head down to Jimmy's gym to see Tyson Fury in action as well. So that's a kind of relationship and friendship that has prospered over the years, and who greater to have as an inspiration right now than the big man himself.
Well, coming close to fight time, little G-ups always a little injection of hope or encouragement, and against the best heavyweight on the planet, one of the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. is he'll say he's the best by a million miles, of course, Tyson Fury, and maybe he's right. But to get that, that's a boost. That's a boost for anyone, isn't it? Of course it is. Yeah. But none of that matters. What happens in the ring? And Kulakhmet's had to travel a long way in a different environment. And this won't matter to McGowan. He'd fight you in a packed out stadium, arena, car park. It won't matter. It won't matter for him. This won't affect him at all. So we'll see. We'll see. Listen, it's not a walk in the park for anyone. We know we got a favourite here, a guy we think's got all the ability to go all the way to the top, but it's not a walk in the park.
We're about to find out, because it is fight time for our top of the bill, and we're really looking forward to it. That sets the scene beautifully. Let's welcome them to the ring for the big one.
Welcome back to Wakefield, England for MTK Fight Night, where we come now to our main event of the evening, 10 3-minute rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Welterweight title. We welcome to the ring firstly, from Wythenshawe, Manchester, England, Macaulay McGowan.
Oh yes, a little bit of the old Ricky Hatton ring walk. That takes you back, doesn't it? And how Macaulay McGowan might need a little bit of the hitman's spite and fire tonight. Maybe some of the body punching wouldn't go amiss as well. He's got a great attitude, McGowan, no doubt about that. He's overcome personal difficulties, lack of opportunity, and all of that could just be the right kind of potion to boil him up to a frenzy to put in the performance of his life. And you know what? He might just need it tonight.
And his opponent from Kuzlada, Kazakhstan, Tursynbay Kulakhmet.
Well, he looked the business when we saw him a couple of months ago, fighting out on debut in Kazakhstan. And that was on the same night that Kunkabayev made his debut at cruiserweight as well. So some of the best amateurs from Kazakhstan started to turn over into the professional ranks, and it's only a matter of time before we see the next Gennady Golovkin make a name for himself or herself indeed. And Kulakhmet, he looked the part when we saw him last time up, eventually breaking down and stopping a tough opponent in Sagadat Rakhmankul. First time he'd ever been stopped, and he did it when he was retired at the end of 4 rounds. He was thrown into an 8-rounder first time up, second time he's into a 10-rounder. That gives you some indication about MTK and his handlers think about Tursynbay Kulakhmet.
Promoter Lee Eaton for MTK Global, live on IFL TV and ESPN Plus in association with Top Rank, proudly presents our main event of the evening. 10 3-minute rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Welterweight title. Your supervisor for the WBC is Robin Smith. Your 3 scoring judges at ringside, all from England: John Latham from Bury, Mark Lyson from Liverpool, and Ian John Lewis from Doddington. Your timekeeper at the bell is Chris O'Connor of Widnes, England, and your referee, the third man in the ring when the action gets underway, is Mr. Victor Loughlin of Barhead, Scotland. This is the main event of the evening. They are the officials. We're ready to go toe to toe, so let's meet the boxers. We begin in the red corner, wearing black shorts trimmed with silver. He weighed in at 153 pounds. He comes to the ring undefeated from 15 professional contests. His record reads 14 wins and 1 draw. 3 wins coming by way of knockout. From Wythenshawe, Manchester, England, Macaulay McGowan. And his opponent across the ring in the blue corner, wearing black shorts trimmed with gold. He weighed in at 154 pounds. As an amateur, he medalled at the 2019 World Championships. As a professional, he boasts a perfect record of 1 win from 1 contest, that win coming by way of knockout. From Kazlada, Kazakhstan, Tursynbay Kulakhmet. Referee Victor Lachlan will now give both boxers their final instructions. This is 10 3-minute rounds for the vacant WBC International Super Welterweight title.
Okay, gents, you know the rules. Obey my commands at all time. Defend yourselves at all time. God bless. Touch gloves. Let's do it.
Looking forward to seeing this, and looking forward to seeing this guy, Tursynbay Kulakhmet.
Seconds out, round 1.
Straight off the bat onto the front foot as well from Kulakhmet.
You say front foot, you look at his front foot. Look how he steps across when McGowan looks to the left, he takes that right foot right across him, blocks the exit.
And he takes a few chances, but he doesn't need for a southpaw. He's very much front foot, aggressive, looking to land big shots pretty much from the start. That was the case when we saw him a couple of months ago. He was in against a tough guy with plenty of experience, former national amateur champion himself, who'd never been stopped, and in the end he just kind of beat him up and ground Rahman cool down, and he did it in relatively short time as well. He got a slight cut, didn't he, the left eye that night as well, so there was a little bit of everything from that pro debut. He's putting McGowan under a lot of pressure right from the first bell.
Yeah, he's been sharp here. McGowan's trying to keep a constantly moving target so he can't set himself, but again, because that front foot engineers McGowan, stops the exit route for him. At some point he has to stand his ground, and then he's not willing to throw McGowan, and he's a sitting duck at the minute.
McGowan was due to be on that 9th of October Dubai show. He was due to fight Rohan Dade on that occasion. That fight fell through, unfortunately, so here he is, granted an opportunity, but a much tougher assignment, I think it's fair to say.
Good left hand there from Kulakhmet.
You can see McGowan, who doesn't mind having a fight and has a great attitude. Already he's thinking about defense through the first couple of minutes.
He's trying to find that right hand through the guard there, doesn't he? If he can, McGowan. There you go, he took that foot on the outside, just not confident enough yet to let that right hand go. Because he has that wide stance there, Kulakhmet, he can sit on that back foot a little bit. And still have good balance there, so when you do attack, you just still take a lean back and slide that front foot, or slide that back foot back a little bit more, and he's still got a little bit of room to play with. Read.
A couple of hard shots going in. It's just missed with a follow-up chopping right hand there. Kulakhmet, you can see he's full of the business tonight, isn't he? Right from the off. Difficult first round that for McGowan. That's a tough welcome back for him. A couple of years out, 2017, just lack of opportunity more than, or less than anything else, really, you should say. Came back and fought a couple of times last year, but he's not been out for what, 16 months or so now, McGowan. He really has had to sort of strip off the weight and fight his way back. But talk about a tough assignment in the shape of this guy.
It's really hard, and the way that he's approaching us at the minute, whether by design or but just forced to, then he's not going to get much success. He needs to try and establish the jab, which of course is difficult against the southpaw. But if he can just touch him with the jab and then fire that right hand through me, just try and make Kulakhmet a little bit uncomfortable then, if he can.
Loads of amateur experience and plenty of titles as well. You know, if you win a national title alone in Kazakhstan, these days you're pretty decent.
And those Asian games as well, which he did well in. You know, they're almost Olympics themselves, aren't they? They're just fantastic.
Well, when you look at some of the nations that are involved in it, and right now, sort of Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, they've got a plethora of talents around. Israel Madridov is an older amateur foe of his. He's unbeaten in 6 over stateside right now. Potential opponents later on. Well, he might have been bundled over eventually, but I think there was a shot initially to start the unfurling, and he's under a lot of pressure here, McGowan. He doesn't seem to be any way out.
Yeah, he's trying to keep that tight guard there. Keep his hands up nice and high when he can. And he's trying to fire back there a little bit here.
Yeah, a little right hand to the body, almost out of necessity from McGowan.
The thing is, he's felt the power early, hasn't he, from Kulakhmet, and also, you know, when you're in against a fight who's superior than you, and the whole presence, and he knows it.
Don't push him down. You understand? You understand? Okay. Well,
I think he's got a little bit of devil in him as well, Kulakhmet. There's something spiteful about his approach. A lovely shot through the guard from him there as well.
And that's the composure there. He just knew. As soon as McGowan went to throw a shot there, he just timed it lovely as he came in.
The gloves nice and high and close together there. Managed to land, I think, those on the forearms, thankfully, for McGowan.
See, he takes such a big step over sometimes, Kulakhmet, that you can't fire back. He can clip you a little with the left hand, which he generates enough space in that, enough power in that small space. But you're almost behind him. You're on the outside of your left hand. You can't fire back.
So what's the counter chess move then in terms of the feet?
Well, you got to make the move first with your foot. I think you got to get your foot on the outside first. I think waiting for him to put himself in position, you're already a step behind that. You already lost that.
Oh, nice uppercut. There's a kind of bullying presence about Kulakhmet.
He's blocking most of these here, McGowan, but you can feel the weight through the gloves. Yeah.
Little body shot.
He's hurt here.
Moment of retaliation there from McGowan.
Trying not to show it here, McGowan, but he got hurt a few times there.
Tough 6 minutes that, isn't it? Tough couple of rounds.
Can't see him, so he's ducking down, trying to get away from the right southpaw jab. Then he's leaning into those lovely short uppercuts there. That's a lovely body shot there from Kulakhmet there. That's the shot I thought he went down from. But then them shots, they're the shots. He's getting constantly hit with those, and you can't really see him because he's leaning into him, trying to avoid the right hand. And left uppercuts there to catch him on the chin every time.
Well, the G'ing up Kulakhmet as though he's the one who's been under attack. And he is very much doing everything he plays. Just a little warning there from the referee, just to keep things within the rules and the spirit of the game. I bet it doesn't feel much like a game right now to Macaulay McGowan.
He's trying to let that jab go. See, it's difficult against the southpaw, and he knows the power that's coming back. So I really feel his pain here. But he's trying to have a go to establish that jab. If he can land with the jab, he knows he can land with the right hand.
Oh, that's a wicked little body shot, almost like an uppercut.
There's a little nick as well, isn't it?
Left eye, McGowan.
Yeah, looks like. See, even the physical strength is in favour of Kulakhmet. It's not just technique and power.
This is your last chance. You hold him again, and I'm going to take a point. Do you understand? Do you understand?
No, I don't. I don't think he does.
The locker and saying there,
Understand, but at least for the benefit of everybody else, you know the score. People will be wondering aloud whether points are really going to be of any importance right now. The way that Kulakhmet is bullying McGowan, it really is a case of survive and survival for the Wythenshawe man right now.
Oh, good shot, lovely time. Again, see, he takes that step with the front foot, puts himself in the right position.
And he didn't even load up on it, Barry. You saw the impact of it too.
The thing is, because he sneaks in with that front foot, he's on. You don't realise he's on you. He's already on you. He sort of nicks your space without you realising it. Then fires that left hand through the guard.
Yeah, he is. He's kind of sneaky and evil and menacing, and his technique and the background in the amateur game to go along with all of that for Kulakhmet.
Trying to keep that tight guard there, just try to fire back with the right hand. But Kulakhmet read it, just took a little step back. It was a nice right hook just before that left hand there from Kulakhmet.
McGowan's trying to fire back when he can. The fleeting moments, but credit to him, because you know all boxers right now just want to get paid, want to get a chance in the current climate. Not many people would be sticking their hand up for this guy.
You lift the head up, don't put your head under.
But it's also a lot of what's wrong with the game as well. He's had to take a fight like this to get paid. Do you know what I mean? Like, no warm-up fights, no easy introduction back in.
You mean even if we weren't in the COVID, he might still have to
He's
take this.
He still would have took it, yeah.
And still might have to take it.
Yeah, of course, yeah. To get sometimes you have to take. Unless you're built up as a star, you have to take those risks to break through.
Oh, that's a wicked little body shot again. The left coming through from Kulakhmet. Yes, good point, fair point made. And nothing fair about this reintroduction to action though from McGowan tonight. And there's a good look at that left eye. It's almost turned into a really deep bruise already.
But he never got totally. Trying to get the positives out of the hand. He never got totally beat up in that round. And he got totally dominated. But I mean, the first two rounds were increasingly hard for him. And that round was hard. He didn't get battered.
And as bullying and as menacing as Kulakhmet has been, you haven't been in sort of any wildly spectacular or obviously heavy punches landed. But you can just see the body language and indeed the left eye of McGowan, that there's plenty enough getting through.
Seconds out. Round 4.
Into round 4 then. Kulakhmet bowing to the referee, almost apologising for the transgressions that may well be coming in the next round.
But he's also not in his corner either. He's right in the centre of the ring.
Ready,
yeah,
all ready.
Yeah.
Pushing back ahead.
Ooh, nice jab.
Yeah, well done.
But it is it's a good bit of context about the task ahead, where you're almost cheerleading a jab. I think that maybe tells you all you need to know about kind of what's going on right now.
But then he lands with the jab, and what does Kulakhmet do? Starts moving his upper body and rolling his shoulders, showing something else that he hasn't shown yet. See, when he takes that step across, oh, lovely shot. Just got no answer, did he? McGowan.
It just looks too hard.
Yeah, it is just a level of good.
Oh, a couple of left hands. It was at the feet as much as anything else. It almost spun him round.
Yeah, because he takes that big step there, his front foot's behind your front foot almost. But when he does take that step, McGowan should spin to his right.
even though theoretically that takes you in the direction of the left hand.
It does, but then if you're spinning quick, like a wide and a back, you're on the outside of that shot then, because he's already took a step across to his right, so he's further away from you. And then you might theoretically be able to throw your right hand over the top of his left hand. Easily said, easily done.
Indeed.
I've been in a fight like this where you're outgunned, outclassed. The guy's naturally bigger than you. He hits hard. Every time he hits you, you feel it. And you've got no answer. You're afraid to fully commit to a shot for getting hit. It's just one of those things you just got to dig in. And McGowan, we know how tough he is. He's shown in the past. He'll do the best he can.
One shot of his own there, but that uppercut, that was a heavy left hand from Kulakhmet. Slightly frustrated when it got messy up close.
Kulakhmet needs to up the pace a bit now for me.
And he did that, didn't he, against Rahmankul? And he started to put his shots together through that fourth round, and he really picked up the tempo in that debut.
You've seen what McGowan's all about now. He's got him under pressure now. He's massively in the driving seat. He needs to start putting his foot on the gas.
Well, we're approaching halfway. Let's find out what Spencer makes of this tough assignment tonight for McGowan.
It is a very, very tough assignment for McGowan. I haven't given him a round. Kulakhmet he's monstrous with his punching power, but if you look at him, he's very left-hand power shot happy. He doesn't really jab because he's so reliant on his punching power of his left hand. He's got a good skill, but you know what? It's very, very difficult for McGowan to do anything because he knows like anytime he does make a move, something's coming back at him and it's hurtful as well. But you know what? Fair play to McGowan because he's toughing it out. He's biting down his gumshoe, but I can't see this guy much longer, to tell you the honest truth.
Thanks, Spence. Yeah, he's training on his toughness, McGowan, isn't he? Right, now he's kind of been bullied in terms of position and the way the action's unfolding, rather than necessarily beat up and ground down. But whether that's just a matter of time, we shall see.
Well, just by his, you talk about ring generalship, just
I think the thing about Kulakhmet, Barry, is as well, you feel there's so much more to come. We're talking about a guy having just his second pro outing. You feel he could do better. Be a bit clean, do you know what I mean? Be cleaner, be cleaner, be a bit more technically neat, more precise. You feel all of that is there. And here we just get a little glimpse of it.
But also every time McGowan looks to have a little bit of a pop, a little bit of a go, he fires that left hand down the pipe every time and puts him back in his place. And that's demoralising there for McGowan. He's thinking, I want to have a go. McGowan wants to have a go. He wants to have a go, but he knows that if he throws abandoned and doesn't have a real pop at it, that he's just going to walk onto a massive shot and get put down and put to sleep possibly. So look at that as well. Look at that pivot on the front foot.
He's looking sharper, isn't he? Start of this fifth. Kulakhmet tidying things up as I was just asking for. You might just be able to see that McGowan's got the name of his son, Albie, newly born son as well. He was born with HIE, which is a serious condition, which is a lack of oxygen to the brain, and both that young child, McGowan, and his daughter as well, Florence, they've all had to battle through that. And I know he's got the name of his daughter on the front of his trunks as well. It's a mark of his appreciation to how she's dealt with those difficult times. The difficulty has just been the story of McGowan's life, I think, over the last few years. And he's having to grit his teeth through this inside the ropes on his return as well tonight.
McGowan and lift that front foot so high because he obviously been told that he's been working on getting that left foot on the outside to try and get that right hand into play, but he's just, I think he's a kid, he's just a little bit too good.
Oh, he just kind of pushed him off, didn't he? He bullied him off with the forearm and the right shoulder. And McGowan trudges back to his corner. Tough night this. Whew.
And that was a tough round as well. He got caught with some big shots in that round, some hard shots. One of them just wobbled him back at the end of the round. Then he gets pushed over, but in the middle of the round, he just got hit back. There's a little bit of a wobble. I think it was a long left hand. He's digging in.
Seconds, corners. Seconds out. Round 6.
Well, into the second half of the fight then, round 6. You might not have thought it was going to go this far earlier on, but most of that down to the toughness and the perseverance of Macaulay McGowan. And the corner trying to find the right kind of template for him to get any sort of success, but it just looks so difficult for him to do that.
And again, though, it's all we said earlier on in the night, it's what you do after you throw a punch. And if you see Kulakhmet, what he does after he throws a punch, he takes that big pivot and spins around the target, or he'll dip down low and move back. He's always something after he throws the shot.
There, McGowan got through with one. He's trying now to close the gap. That's what they were asking for in between rounds in that McGowan corner. Every time, pretty much, that Kulakhmet throws, McGowan has got those gloves high and right up, protecting his face.
Let it go. Let it go.
There is a little bit of frustration in Kulakhmet, isn't there?
Well, I think he's trying to entice McGowan on. That's what he wants to do. But McGowan obviously knows that he's walking him onto a shot, so he's not willing to engage either. I think that's where the frustration is. But Kulakhmet's the better fighter. He's the one in charge. He's the one who has to put the pressure on. He has to force the mistakes. That's his job now. That's where he's at.
He's getting a little bit closer in this round.
That'd be a point.
McGowan.
No more. That's it. You understand?
There's been a bit of the arm, shoulder, forearm. He's bundled McGowan over a couple of times. He has got a bit untidy. Victor Loughlin's patience, I think, is stretched to the end.
He can just put his punches together in combinations now, Kulakhmet. He's landing at will, and the movement's lovely. But if he can just maybe come back with when he throws that left hand, oh, good shot. And no, put your foot on the gas. Now you wobbled him a little bit.
Still coming forward.
Come back with the hook and the
McGowan.
uppercut. Oh, good shot. He doesn't know where he's covering up McGowan, doing the right thing there, but he literally doesn't know where Kulakhmet is.
And Kulakhmet looked at him as if to say, can you just stand still and let me hit you?
Let him go.
There's a little bit of frustration in Kulakhmet. He's struggling to find that clean punch that he's looking for. Well, the rounds are clicking by. Kulakhmet is racking them up on the scorecards. There have been moments throughout every one of the single rounds that you thought Kulakhmet is starting to break Macaulay McGowan down, and yet here we are.
But again, though, to be critical of Kulakhmet, who's massively in charge, not showing the second, third gear that maybe he should be doing now. No, he's totally dominant, and sometimes it's a little bit of a sitting duck, isn't he, McGowan? Not because he's trying, it's just the way it is. And you think he would start going through the gears now, because there's not much coming back, if anything, from McGowan. So show that quality now. You showed it throughout, but you need to get the finish, you feel now.
Into round 7 then. I think also McGowan's defence and his gloves have been, he's been so mindful of that pretty much from the end of the first round. I think it's fair to say that it's not been so easy for Kulakhmet to prize the openings and create the opportunities.
No, but every time he throws that left hand, it punches through the gloves. It might take a little bit to sting of the shot, but he's landed every time he throws it.
Let him go! Let him go!
But what he needs to do is start letting his punches go in combinations. That's the truth of it now.
He's got a mean streak, this Kulakhmet, hasn't he? Trying to wriggle away from the let me at him attitude to the referee after that little exchange.
Let him up. Not doing anything, his head's down.
McGowan trying to punch with him in these exchanges.
What else does he do? You know, he's at the stage now when you clearly can't box him. You can't just walk forward and try and bully him. Or maybe that might be a tactic, but I think he just walks heavy.
Let it go. Let it go. Let him go. Head up. Head up.
I think Victor Loughlin's getting a bit frustrated with it as well. One or two of these tangles in the 7th round.
Well, McGowan's coming in with his head a little bit low, but it's not dramatically low. And Kulakhmet holding on to him rather than just taking a little step back and throwing another shot.
A heavy left hand right through the guard there for Kulakhmet. He put 2 or 3 together there.
See now here, see the gap. I thought he threw